If you don't text me at 6 a.m. or earlier saying you're up, you're doing 50 burpees on camera. So this guy earned it tonight, chasing endorphins. All right. Put my sweater on. He earned it tonight. Paid his dues, worked his ass off. That's what we're talking about. So today we're gonna talk. We're back with my boy Abraham here, chasing endorphins. So today we last time we met at our podcast studio, and now I wanted to meet here today to talk a little bit more about your vision, your timeline, what more we want to accomplish. Now that I have a better understanding, we've spoken a decent amount off camera about this too. What you're trying to accomplish here. I think we're getting closer to understanding kind of what direction we want to go, but now we got to get into the particulars about what you want this process to look like.
Yeah.
Right. What your vision wants to look like. I think we've understood that we're going to get into apparel a little bit. Well, I think we don't want time to go into that too much today. I don't think that's as important. We'll talk about that briefly, and then maybe next time we meet up, if we can, we'll meet at my apparel shop.
Okay.
And then you can sit down with my production manager and we'll go over all that, right?
Okay.
But I want to understand a little bit more about your vision. If Kevin could swing that camera around over to the Green Guard mission and values right behind him, you can see that's similar to what we talked about during our last meeting, right? It's something like that for CE, right? So I think it's important that you create something like that, right? And that's why I brought you here today, so you can kind of understand, aside from like all the motivational crap and all that that's going around, that's really important. If you go downstairs into my conference room, there's values everywhere. If you go into our lobby, there's values everywhere.
Yeah.
We literally live and breathe and eat this. We're not just saying, oh, well, our values are devotion. It's like, no, if we have an employee that says, I couldn't get the job done, we go, were you resourceful enough to get it figured out? Were you being accountable about it getting done? And how devoted were you to get it done, right? Things like that. And those are three values that apply to that specific circumstance, right? So we literally, then that's what we want you to do, right? You have this like in the back of your brain, this vision about how you want to make things look and how, but you gotta then be able to verbalize it so then the community and the people we want to affect can feel it and taste it too, because they can't grab what's back here and be like, okay, now I feel it.
Right.
And so you got to describe that with words and actions, and so that's what we're trying to do. The actions are going to be, I think, more simple because for you it's just doing that, but you got to preach out with words. I mean, like, Nike's made a living out of their tagline, just do it, things like that, right? So you got to make something that's going to be profound for CE, right? So tell me a little bit more about your vision, about your timeline, what you think we should make this look like. And we're clearly documenting this process, but I think people need to understand that, one, getting a business started, this is going to turn into potentially from that apparel and maybe some swag and some other, type of. One thing I didn't tell you is we just became because it happened yesterday. So one of the cheapest companies on the face of the planet for like swag, specifically like promotional crap, is 4Imprint. I'm not trying to give them a plug, but they're very inexpensive. And that's because they buy a gazillion things off of. They're kind of like the Amazon for promotional stuff. Obviously not that size, but and so we were able to get basically a wholesale partnership with them. It's not substantial because they're already so cheap, but we can now get stuff even cheaper than them, which nobody can do.
Okay.
And so we can go even further with you, and this is stuff you haven't even heard of yet.
Yeah.
Where we can now do cups, we can do bags, we can do, stress balls. Again, we don't want you to become like this cheesy, but there might be certain things that you can apply to give away. 'Cause again, the biggest thing is getting the information. All right, so back to it. So that opens up a whole other spectrum of cool things we can do, right? Again, I don't want like tchotchke shit, like, I mean, maybe you do, but like keychain, like, I don't know if that's going to really help you.
Well,
but you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to go to events or you're going to do things like speaking events, throwing out 50 cent black balls with like white lettering on them that you can throw out to the crowd for giveaways or something like that. So again, getting the brand out there and making it people aware of it is what's important, right?
Right.
And the only way to do that is by having things like that, and then obviously doing your Instagram and your social media and all that. So it's just something to consider when we get to that point, because if you a lot of people, when they get things out there, it's going to have tangible items or what people can do, right? That's not going to spread the word. but it's going to make people conscious of it to then allow you to go into spreading the word via social media, in-person meetings, podcasts, all that kind of crap. But they're not even aware of CE until you can do things like that, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's a lot less expensive than apparel. You can want people to buy the apparel, but the giveaways could be something where you could say.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's first of all, thanks for having me here today, and thanks for bringing me. You got a really nice place. I like all the inspirational frames you got around the office. I think that's an important thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's something. If you want to become something, or if you want something to be a part of your life, you have to keep it somewhere where it's just a daily reminder.
Well, I mean, I have like on my desk, it's a friggin' mess right now. So why you gotta show that shit?
Yeah,
That's
show
fucked up,
that. We don't want to lose viewers.
But I have like even my goals are there on the desk and all that, so I live by it, right? It's really important that you like live that world, right? And that's just from if you surround yourself, like they say that you surround yourself by you're the sum of the 5 or 6 people that you're closest to, but you're also the sum of your environment, right? And so if your environment's dark and dingy and no motivation and all that crap, I just.
Yeah, I think subtle reminders are definitely key. It's something.
Not sure if that sign's so subtle, but it's.
Yeah, well, it's subtle where it's just kind of like it's decor, but at the same time, it's you could have a picture of a desert, or an ocean, but
that's not
in your case, it's words that are inspirational.
Yeah.
Right. No, and I think it's a really good opportunity to the partnership that you just made.
Yeah.
Because like you were saying, like for me, it's one thing to talk to people, talk to them one-on-one or face-to-face, and have the Instagram. But I think just having a keychain, like you were saying, the keychain might not, but I think for me, it's just like you use your keys almost every day.
That is true. I mean, that was a bad example, but whatever it may be, that might be Shotsky to you, right?
Yeah.
But
we don't want something just gonna get thrown away.
You could also do like mugs, like coffee mugs. Or,
every morning.
But you could have a saying on it. So not your mission statement, but you could do a tagline like, stop being little. Or whatever, I got a wristband that said this. I think Grant Cardone or someone said that, stop being a little bitch on his thing. And mind you, that's a little aggressive, but that's for him, that's one of his sayings, right? So whatever it is for you, that could be a tagline. You could start doing that.
Right. And I was also, I was thinking about the mission statement, and I was also thinking about like a slogan, Nike, like you mentioned, has the just do it. With me, since it is chasing endorphins, it does have to do with running, but it's also my...
Well, fitness, right? I mean, running for you, but fitness for generalities.
Fitness, exercise, just kind of getting up and getting active.
Getting up early.
Here we go. It's gonna be a long morning. Yeah. So, and part of that is just kind of. I was thinking about it, and it's not just exercise because you could go and you exercise, but that's not gonna change your life. It's going to help you with confidence and other things, but I think you need to also take a step into changing habits. I think the habits, your daily habits create who you are. It's not you become this person by this one huge thing that you accomplish. It's all little by little, just like exercise. You go to the gym, you eat right every single day, and then that all adds up. So I thought of this slogan, let me know what you think.
Okay.
It's one step closer to a better you.
I like it.
Because it kind of has to do with the exercise, and it also has to do with like taking one step in your life. It's changing that bad habit. It's replacing
incremental wins, right?
Right, and it's you have to look at it as a step. Something small. Because if I could be like, hey, I want to become a runner. I want to become an entrepreneur. It could get a little overwhelming.
Well, sure. It's a big.
Yeah, like for you, I feel like for you, you're somebody you're just different.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. Like you have this mentality, you have this drive, but I feel like I also want to reach your common person that's on the couch that doesn't think it's possible for them. But if they start looking at it as like one step. All right, hey, let me just change. Let me just wake up early.
Yeah. So I want to. This is not a plug for myself, but I wanted to say this, and I think this might go a little bit far because we haven't had this discussion. But Kevin's heard me say this on camera a million times. Sherry's heard me say it. And I appreciate the compliment. I really don't think I'm any different than anybody else. Even when I tell her, I don't think of her as me being her boss. I legitimately don't think that. Like when I see her every day, I'm not thinking like, How am I going to have my employee? What am I going to have my employee do today?
Right.
I legitimately think of them as like a partner because, or Bao out there, or Adam, my GM, or G's owners. That's a little bit different, but and so I don't really think of myself as anybody different either. I'm starting to finally understand and be comfortable with admitting maybe I am at this point, but I haven't been able to admit that, and I think it's because I was in your position. I was in people's positions much worse, where I was unhappy just a few years ago even, or I was overweight, or I didn't make priorities right, or like, and so it's not like I was born like this.
Right.
I wasn't born with money. I wasn't born with physical prowess, right? I'm freaking short as fuck, right? So aside from soccer, I couldn't play anything that required. So the thing is that to your point, I had a lot of these incremental wins. I started having success in sales. I started making a little bit more money. Finally, I found fitness.
Right.
I started a business. I worked my tail off, which everybody knows, right? And I still do. And those incremental wins, we kept having those successes, built that confidence into a point where it became a normalcy. It wasn't like, because you hear a lot of people being like, oh, well, I had a really long day today. I was like 13 hours. Or that's probably even too long for most people, 10 hours. And in my mind, and I don't say anything because I understand the perspective, that is like the absolute bare minimum I've worked in the last 10 years is 10 hours. Like bare minimum. Like that to me is a short day. Right. And that's just a mentality thing. And that's fine, because once you start, then and again, you have to do it for the right cause, and it has to make sense and all that. I'm not telling everybody to work 10 hours. But then you work another 10 hours, then you work another 10 hours, then you've done that for 2 weeks, and then you've done it for a month. Now it becomes a normalcy. Then it becomes 11 or 12, then it becomes, I don't even count hours because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Typically people that count hours because they're not enjoying what they're doing.
Right. And
so for me, it became those incremental wins where then it's just, that's where I think I became different, is because I just didn't accept anything less than that, right? Like Will Smith uses this term or this thing where he says he would rather die than lose to somebody on a treadmill. He says, if I get off that, I will die. He says this in almost every one of his speeches. Before I get off that treadmill, before the person next to me does. I will die before that. He goes, you have to be able to work so hard for something you're willing to die for it.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you don't enjoy the process, and I know that, again, that's a little bit like sadistic or dark, but his point is you got to want things that badly in life, or you got to understand where your why is, or what your passion is, or what you like. For you, you're starting to find that path for you, right?
Yeah.
You went from like having this social anxiety issue to having to substantiate that by drinking a little bit, and then binge drinking on the weekends we talked about, and said, wait a minute, this is not the path I want.
Right. And
now you're starting to get some of those incremental wins, like, holy shit, I'm selling a lot of I'm pushing this idea behind people really like it. I want to get it to a point where it becomes more well known. I'm feeling better about it.
Right.
So what do we do next to make this more successful, right? And so even though they're small, it's a step closer to better you, right?
I think to everything you just mentioned right now, it all goes back to mindset.
Yeah.
Well,
it all is derived off those wins. Just develop your mindset. Right. And so another thing, I'm not trying to get motivational here, but I'm trying to.
No, let's get motivational.
I'm actually I'm doing an Instagram post on this morning. My alarm's went off on it 5 times. Yeah. My morning got all freaking convoluted and fucked. But it talks about fear, and mindset is again predicated on incremental wins, but it's also predicated on perception. But your perception of something creates a mindset.
Absolutely.
But guess what creates perception? Fear, right? Your fear to go out in public created a drink, which created a perception of yourself, which is why you were in that world at that point a year ago, 2 years ago, whatever it was.
Absolutely.
So people have fear about things, and again, this is a Will Smith thing, and I'm not obsessed with him, but I think he has some very good points.
He's not a bad person to be obsessed
with. No, but he talks about things like Denzel Washington's more powerful than me. Yeah. This person's more. He's like, I am by far not the best at what I do, and I think that's maybe why I click with him, because I'm not. Yeah. Like, I'm not the most jacked guy in the world. I'm not clearly not the most intelligent guy in the world. Right. I'm not the most, but I will literally outwork anybody. And people that, an example of this, my boy Ruben downstairs started talking shit because I gained a few pounds. In so good shape, but compared to where it used to be with the abs and all that, right? And he goes, and he's been really consistent. This dude's lost 140 pounds, and he goes to the gym the other day.
I saw the before and after picture.
Crazy dude, right?
Yeah.
And so he's in the gym, and he's trying to get a little fucking mouthy with me, and he goes, "Look at man, I'm pretty much like whatever. You weigh as much as me, like that." And I'm like, I look at him, it just triggered me. I'm like, like in a nice way. I'm like, look, I'm gonna fuck you up today. So every weight you grab in the gym, I doubled it, and I made it very fucking clear for the entire hour that he will never challenge me again. I was freaking pissed, right? But ever since then, it kind of like the last couple of weeks, it triggered me to like just start freaking pushing super hard. I'm like, nah, if people are starting to start challenging me like that, I'm gonna start proving people what's up, right? And so the point is, it's similar to him. I'm just not gonna be at work, especially if I get challenged, and that's just a mindset thing, right? And that's because I have the fear that I wasn't gonna let beat me versus like giving into that. And so Will Smith talks about this thing about jumping out of an airplane, and he goes, everybody has all this crazy fear, but what you've been in an airplane before, most people have. So until you actually jumped out of that airplane, why are you scared? It's no different than ever being in an airplane. Your mind's letting you say it's scary, but you're still on the plane. And it's a little bit different than that, but that's what I took from it, right? And so I think that fear can dictate perception that then can associate with the management of your mindset. Yeah. And so it's something that people got to really understand, and if they can manage that in between to get to that mindset, it changes everything, right? Yeah.
And that I think that all we kind of went a little off on motivational tangent, but I think that all ties into what chasing endorphins is.
You got to get to that point, right?
Yeah, because I wasn't always a runner. Like everyone that knows me, I've always worked out, I've always done all this stuff. But
you're doing the bro workout stuff, right?
Yeah, I was just in the gym, just trying to get jacked, maxing out on weight. Like, no, you realize, at least for me, it wasn't what I wanted to. Yeah. What do you call it?
Bro workout.
Bro workout.
That's what they call it, yeah. No legs, all upper body.
Yeah. No, but for me, the one thing that I incorporated was running, and I hated running, and I didn't like it, and I thought it wasn't for me, and you do have this fear. I believe it was Les Brown, but I heard him say that. Well, fear is it's false evidence appearing real. Yeah. It's pretty much you create it in your mind, and I realized that I never used to go out on trails. I never used to go out, even just I would always hang out with somebody, like I wasn't even comfortable just kicking it by myself.
So let's talk about that, because the running thing's important, but I think what people might want to hear here is, what was your fear about the social anxiety? Like what was it that made you have to do a pre-party, or whatever the fuck you call it, where you had a pre-game, where you drank like 1 or 2 drinks before you went out?
Yeah, or 3 or 4.
Yeah. So what was it that required you to do that? What was your fear? Because clearly there's some fear there, right? So what was it, and what was the actual? Because clearly it was fake fear. Yeah. But what was it? What is it that you think people, is it?
I think you just start creating, or at least I was creating a story in my head where you start thinking, you make something up like, oh, people are gonna say this, or you're gonna do something. You just start creating this story in your head that just absolutely makes no sense.
Like you look like an idiot in public.
You're gonna look like an idiot. Yeah. You're not gonna fit in. If you're going out and you're dancing, you just start creating all these negative. You start feeding yourself all these negative thoughts to the point where those thoughts start creating anxiety. And now it's not really you going out. You can go out and everyone around you is not thinking what's going on in your head. Yeah. You're just another person that's out and stuff like that. But you start creating all these stories, so you start believing that, and you start believing that false evidence, and you start living it. So what I realize is that, just kind of flip it on itself, like kind of doing what made me scared, what I was fearful of. Like now I'm here, I'm talking to you. We got this camera. I'm getting used to the camera, but like you just kind of, the more you do what you're scared of doing, and the more you realize that it's not real, and the more you realize that it doesn't have a control on you, the more control you have of yourself, of your life.
Because you got to even think about, like, someone like me that has 2 left feet. We talk about dancing, look like a complete idiot. That was something I was nervous about when I was young, a lot younger, right? But now you go out there and it's like, who cares? Who cares if you're in a lane like on Seinfeld where she's kicking her freaking foot and doing that thing, if you remember that. But it just, that type of stuff, like even if you do look silly or funny, it doesn't. You're not doing anything to hurt anybody. You're not doing anything to offend anybody.
And most people don't care.
No, most people don't care that you're there.
Yeah, they because they got something. They have something that they're probably working on. If they're busy enough to focus on you, it's because usually they're
internalizing something.
Yeah.
And so that'd be the same thing as like, you know how you're saying we get those incremental wins to you have that mindset where I'm getting at and I'm helping people with.
Yeah.
You could actually have, the way I look at it is like a split. Like this is like where you're even, right? Like in the center of this table. You can either start progressing forward and getting super healthy and get the right mindset, or you can have the negative internal losses instead of wins.
Right.
Similar to you every time kept thinking, oh, well, I'm gonna look like an idiot. I'm gonna say some dumb shit. I'm not gonna fit in. And then because that habitually keeps happening, it can spiral to something much worse.
Right.
No different than people that fall into drugs and all that stuff, right?
Absolutely.
So they're going this way, or you go this way, but you have the option in that moment to just change the way you think a little bit, right?
Absolutely.
And it's not like this major change. It's instead of, oh my God, I'm afraid what people are gonna look at me, be like, hey, listen, the people I'm hanging out with like me. What else am I worried about? And if that's that initial thing of who you're hanging out with or who you're surrounding yourself is a concern, then they're the wrong people to hang out with.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, that's where I think a lot of people get caught up is because their friends and they're unfortunately their close people are the ones that are giving them the hard time.
Yeah.
And then that's really a problem because that's again you're some of the total of the 5 people around you. Well, those 5 people are the ones that are creating that anxiety or creating that perception. Then you can't be around them because that's going to be really hard to fix at that point.
Right.
So I think that's kind of what chasing endorphins is saying a little bit, right? It's like you got to understand these things.
Getting uncomfortable, being comfortable with being getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think like you were mentioning, you have this thing where for me it was the social anxiety, and I can choose to continue to use alcohol and continue to kind of take the easy route, or I could choose to not use alcohol and kind of face my fears, face those stories in my mind, and that's kind of what it is with I think fitness helps you a lot with that, because not only does it build confidence, but it also, when you're working out, you're doing something that sucks, that's something that you're not always comfortable doing to get better. And I think that's kind of what I'm translating. I'm trying to translate that into your real life.
Yeah.
Because there's still things that I'm working on, and I think it's a everyday process.
So let's do this. You're gonna hate this, but let's do this.
All right, let's go.
You're getting better on the camera already, I can tell you, which is cool. I told him to continue to try to catch you off guard in front of camera. So
he did, yeah. I said hi to him. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
This morning,
it
wasn't like a whoa, there you are.
So we're gonna start doing it. Where he's gonna start following us like on the weekend specifically.
Okay.
Where you maybe meet me here at my house. We'll do some stuff at my house. We'll go work out. But he's gonna follow us in a car together and all that. So because sitting here in a table is you're getting used to it. But now when we have to interact with people, where it's like a real life thing, it's not as structured, and I want to see how you react to that. But I want to do this, and you can do this to me too, but it's gonna be really hard. And I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but it's gonna be really hard.
Go ahead, yeah.
I want you to do 2 things a week, and I want you to do this specifically because I think this will help your journey.
Okay.
That make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But not just like I talk to a girl. Like, you have a girlfriend, so sorry, didn't mean to say that. I guess I could make you uncomfortable. But 2 things a week that legitimately make you uncomfortable, and then you're gonna share with this journey, because I want people to see that you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If that is something as simple as like we have you on camera and we're at the beach and you lay down for 30 seconds in the middle of the boardwalk, then we'll have you do that.
Yeah.
Where that's fucking weird, right? But you do it because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. It's
Absolutely.
just and like I wouldn't care if I did that. I'll just do it. Like so. I purposely did that for such a long time that it's really hard for me to be comfortable. Like,
when you're growing, when you're going through those, it sucks. It really sucks. Like you hate it. You feel like all this anxiety and stuff like that. But look at us now. Like last week I was my first time in front of a camera like this, all the lights and stuff like that. But then you do it once, and then it sucks, and you do it again, and then now you're having.
And then you change. You just continue to do different things that are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like. You start putting things in perspective. Like things aren't that big of a deal anymore, right?
Right.
And so also now that's where you gain that confidence. And maybe for me, like people hate confrontation. I don't say I enjoy it, but I have no fucking problem with it. None.
Yeah.
Like none.
Yeah.
Like there's been a couple of situations at restaurants recently, which because I service so many of them, where I made the people that work there extremely uncomfortable because of the shit service I get. Yeah. And I'm not rude to them. I just am very direct.
Yeah.
Like don't do your fucking job, right?
Yeah.
And my wife's very uncomfortable because she is not the type to get uncomfortable, but I have zero problem with it. And Ruben, that usually is with us, likes it because he thinks it's a show. but those are situations where, and I'll put other people in that situation too. I don't, if they're nice, maybe I'll explain to them, hey, I did this one because I need to prove a point to you to make sure that other customers don't receive this level of service. But 2, I wanted you to be uncomfortable so in the future you have more experience. And they're kind of like, oh shit. I said that to one guy and he's like, I'm busy, but I do appreciate that, you know, type of thing. And so I think it's really important that we can preach that too, because I think that's part of chasing endorphins, right? Is you have to be uncomfortable because the journey of fitness and the journey of getting those endorphins and the journey of making one change a day, a little change a day, and I apologize, I'm not memorizing the tagline. It's
one step closer to better you.
Closer to better you. Yeah. Those steps are going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's gonna suck. This isn't fun.
No, and so my point, but it will be at a certain point because you almost, maybe it's just me, and maybe I'm just a little fucked up. But I think that once you get uncomfortable enough, you almost want to be uncomfortable. Yeah. Because it's a challenge to you, but you got to do it enough to be like that, right?
Yeah.
And so it's something that I think that maybe that would be part of your timeline is saying, we'll capture you doing things uncomfortable, and then what we do is challenge your audience, people to do that though, because I think that if they start getting those wins. Mm-hmm. They're going to start believing in the philosophy of chasing endorphins.
Right. And back to your point, like you were saying, being comfortable doesn't necessarily mean like go out there and make a fool out of yourself. No. And, you know, being comfortable could be something like, hey, you know, I'm going to start reading, you know, a book or start listening to a podcast or something. Because I mean, we're used to it. Like I do that every day and stuff like that. But it's like not everyone does that. But I remember when I didn't do that. And when I first started, like, you know, watching this podcast or listening to an Audible, you know, like just sitting down, putting my phone down, listening to books and stuff like that. Like I was uncomfortable. I was like, I don't want to do this. But at the same time, like now, all the information that I know, all the knowledge that you get from it, like it just starts becoming a part of you. So being uncomfortable could be something like that.
No, yeah, you know, I was using extreme examples because for me, I have to get to that level at this point because it doesn't. Like
like I said, you're just a different beast.
It's been years. It's been years of me being uncomfortable in situations where I don't be uncomfortable. So, I have one for you. Tell me if you want to do it.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, if you gotta wake up for the next. Till the 15th, from starting tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. If you don't text me at 6 a.m. or earlier saying you're up, you're doing 50 burpees on camera. Okay. At 6 a.m.
Yeah. I can do that.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then if you don't, you're doing 50 burpees.
Yeah.
So if you do it each time, you don't wake up at that time.
So from today, what's today? The 4th. So we got about. It's gonna be 10 days.
Yeah. Including the weekend.
I can do that, and I think I need that.
No, you do.
So
that's an accountability piece.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be like fuck, like, and it's probably gonna day where you're gonna be like, and it's 50 burpees.
50, yeah, that's a lot. Okay, let's do it. No, so, I think that's good.
Because then all of a sudden having to tell me that's uncomfortable. I would think. But even more uncomfortable is having to do fucking 50 burpees.
Yeah.
Because that's not, you bro workouts, we just talked about that, right?
Yeah.
So, not that you haven't done burpees, but 50 is a lot. And that can't be like throughout the day, 50 burpees in a sitting. I mean, it doesn't mean you can take a 30-second break, but you're like, it has to be continuous.
Let's do it. I definitely need that. I know I need that.
And so for people that are listening to this, challenge yourselves, right? And so I want you to tie that into chasing endorphins. We're talking a lot about motivation today, but we're talking about the timeline for chasing endorphins and how we want to push this message.
Yeah.
So I think one is us living it, or you specifically living it, since you're the guy.
Definitely.
I have no problem having people out there telling me what you challenge me to make something uncomfortable. Like for me, one thing would be uncomfortable, but it would be more uncomfortable just because I don't like doing it, even though I'll do it as running. But so I don't mind doing that. But again, I'll have to start out like in smaller chunks, right? Because I can't run 12 miles. I just can't. My body's not designed that way. And I don't want to injure myself, but it'd be something where like, okay, we'll run a 3 or 4 mile run today. Like I'll do that, and then we'll go to a 6 mile run. But as long as I can have the time to do it, right? But again, that doesn't make me uncomfortable. It's just something I don't want to do. But I'll do it, right? And so
I mean, like you were saying, I mean, I think it'd be cool if you gave me that challenge.
Yeah.
So now what's a challenge for you? What is something that Nate is uncomfortable doing?
That's the thing. It's hard to really.
There has to be something because you're not.
I know.
You're at a level, but you're not.
I'm definitely scared of heights. I've jumped out of a plane. Like any type of interaction with a human being, there's really nothing that would make me uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah.
So public speaking, nothing. Snakes, animals, nothing. So it could be something like, there's a guy at the gym, Omar. He's a little bit of a freak when it comes to working out. his cardio is trash right now, which he'll admit. But he'll admit it. He was sick as fuck for like a month, and he's getting back into it and all that. But he could put me through a workout that'd make me uncomfortable. Like it would make me not.
Well,
really
this Saturday, why don't we? You think he'd be available this Saturday?
I'll ask him.
Why don't we go through a workout with him? Because I'm getting back to it too, but I had a little back injury. Not too severe.
Lifting too heavy, right?
Yeah, I was just bad bro form.
I'll text him and see if it is. If not, we'll schedule it with him because I know he has family shit going on. Let me just text him real quick right now. Hold on.
Yeah, why don't we do that? We schedule a workout, and yeah, let's make Nate uncomfortable.
Sweet.
Yeah. But like you were saying,
yo, guess who's here?
What's up?
We're talking about being uncomfortable, and so I told him one of the only things that would probably make me uncomfortable right now is go through one of your crackhead workouts.
So wait, are you on Instagram?
No.
Oh, because I got a notification a moment ago for Instagram saying, "Oh, someone's on, blah blah blah." I wasn't sure if it was like a live video.
This is a video with Omar.
It'd be funny if it was that live video.
So Omar, let me know if Saturday you're available to put us through a workout that made me uncomfortable, which would clearly make him uncomfortable because he does bro workouts. So let me know if we can do that this Saturday. If you're not available, we'll schedule it. Thanks, brother.
Let's do it.
He's gonna be like freaking idiots.
Yeah, no, I've done some workouts with Omar and he goes pretty intense.
Yeah.
But I think with my I do bro workouts, but I've incorporated a lot of cardio, and that's one thing about cardio and about running and about switching from the bro workouts to something more with intensity and to build up your cardio. It's a lot of mental game.
Yeah.
Because at this point it's not like, oh, I can't push this weight up, it's too heavy. It's like, do I keep going or do I tell myself to stop?
Yeah.
When I'm running, it's like I can keep going. My body is built to keep.
Your body can go a lot harder than you think. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's where I've enjoyed doing more cardio and doing that something actually that I was uncomfortable doing. So I think that's why I use that example a lot. But it's just a matter of how you were saying, mindset and pushing yourself, because you're gonna get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm done, but you're not really done.
Yeah.